I know I sometimes say or post strange things, but that's just how my brain works. To anyone I've offended, I just want to say I reinvented electric cars and I'm sending people to Mars in a rocket ship. Did you think I was also going to be a chill, normal dude?
So what I thought was actually interesting, and this is where maybe I can throw back to you guys to see how you feel all of that sussed out. There was a lot more measured positivity in this solicited feedback than I think maybe what we were getting through social media earlier in the week, where it did seem like everyone was really riled up and it was a very polarizing thing. Do you think our audience, or at least this small sampling of our audience, is more in line with the public at large, or do you think that there's a whole lot more drama out there that we're just not tapping into?
I feel like it's almost impossible to, like, gauge an episode of SNL by the public at large because every single person, like, it's so subjective. It's hard for me to say, like, "Yeah, this is how most people feel," because I don't think there's a consensus on
Sure.
any episode of SNL, but I
Right.
do think that a fair consensus is I think a lot of people were surprised that he was somewhat competent. I
Yeah,
think
or at
I'm
least
hearing that a lot.
somewhat likable. Like it seems like people who maybe came in looking to find a reason to hate him just didn't find as much as they thought they were going to find. Yeah, interesting. What do you think, Steve? Where do you think society at large landed on Elon?
Well, yeah, you're asking me if these avenues of social media are representative of the whole world. Yeah, I don't know if that's the case. You
Right.
know, nobody in my personal life has gotten up in arms to the extent that I've seen online.
Right.
And yeah, I'm not saying that the guy got completely clean hands or anything. Uh, I don't feel passionate hatred towards the fella. There's a few things I've heard about that I said, well, I don't agree with that. But like you said, if you were coming in as Switzerland and you were looking for one way or another to go, I don't think this did much harm to his reputation.
Yeah.
For a guy or gal just introduced to Elon, this probably puts him in a great light, which
Mhm.
is maybe the point.
Yeah.
But I think it was a
Yeah, no,
success.
I think he came out the winner in all this, right? Like if it is a PR battle of, is this going to improve his um credibility with the public at large, or maybe cost him any fans? I think that, I think he picked up some Twitter followers from all this.
Sure.
That's my assumption anyways.
That's because I don't always have a lot of intonation or variation in how I speak, which I'm told makes for great comedy.
Well, like as soon as he came out, I was like, okay, this guy is at least good at taking direction, because like almost mechanically walks out, stands on his exact spot on the stage and doesn't move it. Like he's like locked to that floor. So he seems like he can, at least with the way his mind works, he can just be told like blocking and where to stand. It gave me hope that like he could get through the episode.
I after the monologue, I said, "I'm pleasantly surprised so far." I expected him to be very, very bad, and he was okay. He came out, he was game to laugh at himself, which I wasn't sure if he was going to be. And they were comfortable writing this monologue for him that did poke those jokes and had a little fun with his persona.
Say what you will about talking about maybe your syndromes or conditions, and maybe using that for sympathy. I don't think that he specifically was, but that's something that not a lot of people necessarily know about Elon Musk. They just know him as the figurehead of all these companies, and maybe a polarizing arch villain of some sort. But
Yeah, I had no idea.
but when you contextualize that and just remind people that he's a person too, and we all have things like that um should give people pause and make them question whether they're judging too harshly or whatever. And um that I think was a surprising maneuver that I think was really disarming, because it's so much easier to be compassionate and give someone the benefit of the doubt when you understand that they have a struggle of some sort.
Now, to be fair to the people who came into it anti-Elon,
Mhm.
the revelation, if it was that, of his diagnosis, it allows you to you cut him a little slack on any sort of social awkwardness he has, but I mean, I think those people also have some other very legitimate complaints about him that
Sure.
don't relate to that, and they can still feel bad about him. Like, that doesn't excuse
Sure,
some
yeah.
of those things, you know?
Sure, but when you're watching his performance later in the show,
Right.
you are certainly looking at it with different eyes.
Yes, yes.
Sure. I do like electric horses and self-driving horses, which are just horses.
At this point in the show, as this is coming on and they say, oh, his name is Leon instead of Elon, right? That's what it was. It was
I
Leon.
thought it was
Leron.
Leron, but hard to tell.
Leron, what? Yeah. So, but it became obvious very early into the sketch that, oh, okay. So they sat around and said, okay, if Elon Musk is considered eccentric in the 21st century, what would he look like in the 19th century? And then,
Mhm.
they go from there. So I was feeling like, wait a minute, are the writers so in their box of we need to figure out how to comment on Elon Musk rather than let Elon Musk play a character that we're at the 10-1 and we're still squarely in Elon being Elon mode.
Mhm.
That was the one thing that hit me. Oh, they just couldn't figure out anything else for Elon.
Thank you to Miley Cyrus, the Kid Leroy, Grimes, my mom, and all the cast moms. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers in the world.
Let's talk about the big ratings on a scale of classic, great, decent, weak, or train wreck. Steve and the Cat, how would you rate this episode?
We are going to give it a decent. Fully prepared to give a train wreck out to a unproven, non-acting, non-performing host. Yeah, pleasantly surprised. Would have been satisfied to get a week episode out of this. And yeah, for whatever awkwardness that Elon brought to the show, I felt he had that Charles Barkley charm in his bad acting. Yeah. So not a classic, but hell, to sit here and give the Elon Musk episode a decent is surprising in itself.
Yeah, I came into this fully expecting the worst, and I was like, oh, am I going to have to go down to like weaker train wreck? I hope not. But they pulled it off. The combination of Elon not being a performer, plus, some of the drama leading into it, where it seemed like people were not game to have him there, and worrying a little bit about, was anybody really going to be giving this their best? It is what it is. I'm pleasantly surprised, and I'm happy to give this a decent, because I was braced for it to be real unwatchable.
real unwatchable.
John, where you landed?
For me, ultimately this was going to come down to whether I embraced Elon Musk as the host and could feel any kind of joy going down this ride that is SNL with him. And the fact that he won me over in the monologue, I think was the make or break moment that pulled this out of weak territory. Because I think if you step back and look at the show as a whole, the one thing that it screams to me is the writers or the show at large. I don't think they got as creative with Musk as they could have. I think there was a lot of obvious safe things that they veered towards just because they didn't want to test those waters and come up short and realize he couldn't carry it or whatever. So I feel that there was apprehension or just that thing of, I'm not enthusiastic about this show. And as much as maybe you just try to be at your best, your heart's not in it. And so I feel like there was a lot of stuff that didn't really capitalize on the opportunity here as well as it should have. And that to me is what could have pulled this down into weak territory. But I do think it gets over the line into decent.
If you want to see our full sketch by sketch review, search for SNL Afterparty on Patreon or subscribestar.com.